Ministry of Information, Communication and ICTs of Tanzania to please come up on stage. So we have 4 outstanding panelists now who are going to take us through the next half hour or so on Tanzania, digital economy and digital impact. Now, the stage has been set very well for this panel already. We heard from the minister in the morning, and the previous panel talked about, is the glass half full or is it half empty? So on the one hand, we heard about how Tanzania wants to position itself as a digital hub in the region, an ICT hub in the region, but there are also real challenges of a digital divide, access in remote areas, lack of affordability, access, and so on. So my first question to each of you is, where does Tanzania stand today? Is the glass half empty, half full? What kind of metrics are you using to measure impact of ICTs in Tanzania and so on? Let's begin with you.
Thank you for introduction. My name is Nkundwe Mwasaga, Director General of ICT Commission. Simple question. Half full? Yeah.
What's missing? What's the half that needs to be filled?
Well, you know, we are embarking in a digital transformation, and it has 3 processes: digitalization, then digitalization, then digital transformation. We have done well in digitization, which is first process. Now we are embarking on interoperability, provision of national digital ID for that process, so that we start to enjoy applications like AI. We know AI needs big data. We need to have a lot of investment in computation, and also we need to have being able to create our own algorithms so that we can have applications that are beneficial to our people. So it's a journey of itself. We've done well in the first stage. Her Excellency President Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, she has told us very clearly that we need to make this system talk to each other. So we are embarking on an interoperability process, and also to provide a national digital ID number, which will enable people to enjoy these things, and so that all my colleagues who were in panel number 1, everything that I've been talking about will be of beneficial to ordinary people. So that's the journey that we are going at. But so far, we are doing good.
Great. Thanks so much for taking the conversation ahead to topics like digital conversation, digital transformation, and AI and machine learning. Let's now turn to Engineer Shukuru. Where would you say we are? Half full, half empty, on what's left to be filled?
Okay. My name is Engineer Shukuru, the Director General for Zanzibar ICT Corporation. ZICTA is a government of Zanzibar ICT Corporation, which is mainly dealing with data centers, the national fiber backbone of Zanzibar, and in future we are going to deal with international gateway as well as cyber cities here. Yeah. About the question, the story was too long before. Let me tell the story about where we were, then I'll tell about where we are right now. The story of transformation started in a different idea of transforming our economy as Tanzania from where we were to where we are today. The idea started with Mkukuta and Mkuza. Mkukuta meant mkakati wa kukuza uchumi na kuondoa umaskini Tanzania, as well as Mkuza was mkakati wa kukuza uchumi Zanzibar. Mkuza passed this through different phases, Mkuza 1, Mkuza 2, and Mkuza 3. And in Mkuza 3 is where the idea of digital economy started from there. The idea was so as to move from there we were to here we are today, the issue of business process re-engineering should be done. How could it be done? Then the idea of investing in infrastructures in both Tanzania mainland and here started, and that we have the NICTBB fiber from mainland, and in Zanzibar we have the Zanzibar fibers. In mainland right now, hardly all of the region of Tanzania are being connected by the national fiber broadband, and here in Zanzibar mainly we have each of the districts connected with the national fiber backbone of Zanzibar, as well as we have about 360 service delivery centers connected. So how do we want to move from here we are to the next level? Still we have a gap. There's a big digital divide. Illiteracy rate in digital wise still big. That's why much investment regarding to the establishing the special centers for giving education and the literacy to the people in rural area were being built. Thank you, Yuksaf, for this. And the other idea of investing much in building the new data centers is there. Here in Zanzibar, we have about 3 mega projects of which we think will take us from here we are to the next level of digital economy. First is building the international gateway. Right now, we are connecting our 2 islands, as per His Excellency Minister said there. From mainland to here, we have 2 submarine fibers connecting, one from Salasala, Dar es Salaam to Fumba, Zanzibar. As well, the second one we have connecting from Tanga to Pemba Island. So the issue of availability were also being talked by Honorable Minister, how is it going to be accomplished? We have another side of island called Mombasa, they are our neighbor. We are thinking of, in case of disaster, it happens on one side of Tanzania mainland, how will we remain connected? Then we are thinking of connecting the Mombasa to Zanzibar through the international gateway, of which we'll consider the higher availability of service by building the data center at Pemba Island, as well as running the same fiber to other island of Unguja and building many data center here. Why we do so? Changing going to the digital economy means you need to have the higher availability of internet and affordable one, of course. Right now, the cost of internet across the island is much higher in comparison with economic value or economic level of the people we have. At least those rich people can afford it, but the gap of, the divide between the rich and poor people is still higher. So bringing another international gateway from Mombasa to here means we want to reduce the cost of internet we have today so that everyone can even afford it. Another project is we cannot move to another level of economy without having the well-skilled people, ventures, and even startup which can grow and later become the big companies. So we give thanks to His Excellency the President of Zanzibar, Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi. He is about to declare the Zanzibar Digital Free Zone. Much hectares, about 100 hectares, will be given to the corporation. Those are to be declared as a digital free zone here in Zanzibar. In free zone, the multiple of incentives will be given there, including the less tax, maybe 3 times in comparison with those who are working outside digital free zone, as well as for the startups. We say so as to have, for startups, it will take about 10 years to start paying tax. So startup will be raised for at least 10 years so that to start paying tax, and the ventures will be created from there. So the second phase of the project will be the building cyber city of Zanzibar, of which the big companies and ventures will be held over there. So those are the efforts we have by today in Zanzibar and even Tanzania mainland.
Thanks so much, Engineer Shukuru, for bringing up those issues of data centers, startups, talent. We'll come to all those in the rest of the conference as well. But let's hear from Nagib. Nagib, what's your take from the industry side? Where do you see Tanzania from, say, last year to this year to next year?
Thank you, Madan. Greetings, everyone. My name is Nagib Ferej, Deputy CFO at Halotel. From your question, the improvement that I've seen, some of the metrics that we have looked at is mainly the growth of the ICT sector, the number of people employed in the ICT-related jobs, the contribution of ICT to the GDP of the country. This is something that we are very proud of as operators. We have contributed to around $900 million from 2018 on average year by year. So you can see there's a significant contribution. Another metric that we can look at is the percentage of population with access to the internet. In the TCRA report of June 2023, the internet subscription grew 17%, and it has been growing 17% per year from 2018. The total number of subscriptions in June 2023 is around 34 million. So this is a great metric to look at as well, and we monitor these things continuously so we can provide better services going forward. Another thing is the percentage of adoption of the digital financial services. This is a significant area as well, specifically on the mobile money business of the telecom business. The mobile money services have increased from 60% to 72% adoption from 2018, according to the FinScope report of 2023. It has grown, but we still believe there's a significant room for improvement as well, specifically in the merchant payment area. Merchant payment makes up about 13% of the adoption on the mobile money business. And we believe with incentives to this area, we can increase the merchant payment business. When you look at it, a number of people don't like to pay using merchant payments because they're taxed. Now, if we're looking at a digital economy, we want to move from cash to cashless, but you are not incurring extra charges if you pay cash. Why would I pay extra charges through the cashless? So if we remove some of these taxes and incentivize this mode of payment, we will improve the merchant payment platform and increase significantly the adoption of the mobile financial services. Thank you, Madan. That's my...
Remove friction, that's a great recommendation. Let's turn now to Mohamed Mashaka. What's the view from your side?
The view from my side, I think we are neither half full or full empty, but we are actually 3/4 full. Yeah. Building the case, actually, we are now the best in East Africa as far as considering the assessment from the World Bank, which was done back in 2022 in terms of GovTech technologies and all that. So, and we are actually the second in Africa, just behind Mauritius. So you can tell actually the government is doing really good as far as the digital economy is concerned. There are a couple of initiatives that so far the government has done. Number one, as a ministry, one of the key obligations is to have the enabling environment ready. The previous panelists, they've talked about the 2016 National ICT policy, which is actually one of the key enabler to make sure both private sector and public sector play the key role. But as a ministry, the government as a whole, we are now doing the National ICT Policy Review for 2023, which is actually very, very crucial. Another thing about the digital infrastructure, we have have number of achievements. The government has been providing number of subsidies to private sectors, to these MNOs. Just back in May the 13th, the president witnessed the signatures of almost 713 cell towers, which are some of the subsidies which were given to MNOs. Actually, we have been talking about the digital divide, and all these cell towers actually are the broadband that's sent to the villages, the people who are in remote areas. So you can see the government has a number of initiatives to make sure everyone is included into the digital economy sector. There are a number of other initiatives as well. My colleague has just mentioned, now we are moving into the unique identification, and we already have a system in place. We have a National Identification Authority who are actually playing a major role into making sure that we have the unique ID, which is actually in place. And now we are building the digital identity platform, which will actually help the private sector bring all the issues of the eKYC, which is very crucial. We have a national physical addressing system in place, which is outstanding, because you need that to identify people, their location, and all these infrastructure that the government has laid out, you know, the international airports, the water grid, to make sure the power is there, because you can't go to the digitalization without having all these enabling infrastructure in place. So you can tell that to us, we feel like there is much has been done with the government, and we are still doing more to make sure that the digitalization in Tanzania is really robust. And as the ministry right now, we are into a project called Tanzania Digital Transformation Program. And this program actually encompasses a number of projects inside it. One of them is Digital Tanzania Project, whereby there are a number of initiatives which are in place. One of them actually is the digital literacy and skills development, whereby how are we going to make sure the awareness of digitalization is sent across the remote areas. So, and the skills development, right now we are, only for this year, we are intending to send almost 500 for long courses and short courses on ICT area. So you can see the project itself is a game changer. So all these Digital Tanzania project is actually inside. And apart from that, we aim in building the digital innovation culture in Tanzania. And having said that, through the Digital Tanzania project, currently we are actually intending to have like 8 innovation centers, which will be built in different zonal areas. We have one in Tanga, Arusha, Mbeya, Mwanza, and we are doing all this to make sure that in some times to come, we have made our strategic plans as well. We want to be a country whereby now we have to sell the solutions to our neighboring countries. And this is where we aim at. Instead of buying more solutions from abroad, now the innovation culture will give us a room to do that. And to assist on that, actually the government now is about to release the innovation and startup policy to make sure all these startups actually come along and we build that innovation culture which we really want. As the government is doing all this, we don't forget the issue of gender, the issue of diversity. Now in the government, and we're really encouraging the private sector as well to make sure we have the inclusive digital economy. People who can't see, people who can't hear, all of them. How do we bring forward into this digital economy we are talking about? So these are the key initiatives, and we have a number of enabling environment, like we have the safe usage of ICT for people with the disabilities, which we actually in place. And you can see these initiatives are actually there to make sure we are doing that. And another interesting thing, as a government, we actually have a government enterprise service bus, whereby the government institutions share information between themselves. But currently, as the ministry, now we are building the Tanzania Enterprise Service Bus. And this one actually is to make sure we are including the private sector. You know, instead of a certain MNO to go directly to a specific public institution, but we are building that platform to make sure all of them, they go into the platform and exchange that information. So this is very important. We call it Tanzania Enterprise Service Bus, which is an example of an X-road in Estonia. And on the digital financial services, we are not behind either. In Zanzibar and in the mainland, we are into a single payment system, whereby if a person wants to go for, probably if you have ordered your car, instead of paying TRA and TPA charges, then you can only pay once. So these initiatives are there. So not only for that, but we want to make a situation where we are using the UPI model for India. That is what our our aim in the few months or some few years to come, whereby the multiple control numbers are actually integrated at the back end, and that's major is to help and enhance the public service delivery. For example, right now we are also aiming to establish one-stop centers, whereby we aim to integrate all these public service systems into a single window. You know, normally we have those one-stop centers whereby you have multiple windows, multiple windows under one roof, but now we are aiming to go to one roof, single window. Thank you.
That's a very impressive list of achievements. Thank you so much. Applause well deserved. We're running out of time, but I want to keep some time for questions from the audience. I got lots of questions, but I want to hear what the audience has to say. I know Bradley had a question a bit earlier. You want to ask your question now, or? Okay, no worries. Any other questions? Questions, comments, suggestions, observations? Otherwise, my last question for the panel is, if we were to come back here next year, or maybe 3 to 5 years later, what is the one biggest difference that the audience will see when they come to Tanzania from an ICT point of view? You want to start?
Like the way I have explained before, the target that we're looking at is digital transformation. And in the digital transformation, we look at the experience of ordinary people. So in 5 years to come, there are a number of notable things. I'm building on from what Mashaka said, like we'll start to reach a level of cashless economy. We'll reach a level where there will be a lot of people that will be using smartphones, because smartphone is a gateway to access a number of solutions that are beneficial to ordinary people. There will be a lot of use of AI-driven applications. So the actual experience of ordinary people when it comes to digital transformation will be higher than the way it is now. So those are the things that we are going to see them very clear. The actual citizen will start to enjoy things very much. Most of the talk that you see, we talk now, is about connectivity and things like that. At that time, I know that we'll start to talk about from demand side, how the actual people are accessing solutions and things like that. So that's exactly what I believe it is. In terms of economy, the contribution of ICT in our economy, it will be higher, because most of the transactions will be run on the platforms. And we believe that there will be a lot of gain in terms of the breadth of an area where we can collect revenue than the way things are now. There's a very small window where we can collect revenue. The education system is going to be improved. So digital skills is going to be very well. The level of security, like the way Mashaka said, we are number 2 in Africa, so we believe that we are going to be doing even much better. Platform will be more secure. The trust will be more higher to people. Localization of application will be higher, because most of our people, they speak Swahili. Digital telecommunication services will reach almost 100%. Of course, thankful to the private sector, the level of commitment they've shown to investment, and I believe that we are going to reach there. The digital economy is going to be very high. And all these changes will be driven by startups who will be doing innovations and providing solutions that are relevant, not only in Tanzania, but regionally or in Africa in general. Yeah, so that's a vision that I'm looking at.
Well, thank you. While you are coming again, I think 5 years is too far. Listen, it could be, if you're coming the next year, you'll come and see some changes from here in Zanzibar. Through the number of projects which I've explained before, we are expecting to see changes coming in line with our project. One, security of the people. Our Zanzibar is a tourism-based island. We depend on tourism as a number one sector, which contributed to our economy. So first, we want to assure the security of those tourists who come to visit Zanzibar. Right now, they are safe everywhere they are going, but I think not safer to the roadside. Accidents are too many in comparison with at least 2 years or 3 years ago. This is due to the number of vehicles we have. So what are we going to do to eradicate this issue of accident in our roads? We are going to make the reinvestment of artificial intelligence cameras in all road network we have in Zanzibar. If you travel in Zanzibar town right now, you can see all roads are being rehabilitated by the government. So after 5 years, all these roads are going to be already built. So we want to keep the roads safe for the citizen as well as for the tourists who come to Zanzibar. So how are they going to be safer? We will deploy the digital cameras, which will have the artificial intelligence capability with at least a plate number recognition capability, over speed recognition capability, and even facial recognition capability. The purpose is to reduce the number of accidents which we have by today. It costs a lot of life of people we have. So the measure to reduce them is just to put the camera inside them instead of using police right now. Second, we are on the way toward the full business process re-engineering for the government. Then next will be G2C, government to citizen. So within the coming 5 years, our expectation is to have all government process changed to digital. Right now, we have some semi-digital government. Some others are being done in digital wise, but others are not. We have the project of connecting all government institutions into fiber within the 2 years to come. Our expectation is to have the health sector also grown up, just because we have the expectation a project to connect all hospital with national fiber broadband, so that those clients who are going to hospital, they are going to access the information to everywhere they are going. Right now, you can have a patient here in Zanzibar town, but the same patient can go outside Zanzibar town and his information or her information are not available there. So what to do is connecting those hospitals together within the national fiber broadband, so the information are being can be achieved at anywhere they went. The next is to have we have the initiation of making our Tanzania as a hub of ICT. I think our minister tried to talk a bit about it. So what the initiative we have in Zanzibar is, as I've explained before, that we want to build a cyber city. In cyber city is where the companies, big companies, ventures, and even startups which have grown up will be hosted. So our expectation within 5 years, the city will be already completed, and our guests, when they come to visit Zanzibar, they'll see it's done those years to come. Another one is business continuity plan. Right now, some of our public services faces a lot of outages. They have no guarantee in availability. So how can we make them available at all of the time? We need to build the multiple of data centers within Tanzania, mainland and even here. So we have the program in Tanzania, Zanzibar, to build at least 3 data centers, 2 main and others will be disaster recovery sites, so as to ensure the availability of services and information within island. And these projects are to be completed within the 2 years, 2 year of budgets to come. Yeah. Another part of it.
Yeah. Can we move on? Running out of time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Nagib, yeah.
Thank you, Madan. On my side, I would like to talk about what I would like to see in the next year. We have had development plans in the past, and I would like to see them come into fruition. We have had the campaign by the Ministry of Education before to include ICT in our school curriculums, and we were expecting to reach 7 million youth by 2025. Now, this is something that when you look at it in wholesome, it is somehow still difficult. Now, Tanzania has made significant progress in terms of ICT infrastructure, and we still need to do more in order to get the impact from the investments of the ICT infrastructure. Now, we need to, if we look at it in comparison to other countries, to begin with, let's look at what is meaningful connectivity in the first place. According to the UN targets for universal and meaningful digital connectivity, the target prioritizes universality, technology, and affordability to ensure that everyone can fully benefit from connectivity. Now, when you look at these things, one thing stands out: affordability. Halotel is a subsidiary of Viettel Group. Viettel Group is based in Vietnam. I have managed to learn a lot from our parent company and from Vietnam, and what Tanzania can adopt to this. So I would like to make some comparisons. Let's look at 13 years ago. Vietnam was in the same situation as Tanzania is right now, but they have developed significantly because of the ICT infrastructure policies that they put in place. Now they have significant improvements. When you look at things, for example, the fiber optic infrastructure competition, in Vietnam, the length of fiber optic cable per person is 12 meters, while in Tanzania is 0.5 meters, while the rest of the world is 0.77 meters per person. So there is a significant difference there. The fee, this is partly caused by the fees that have been put in place. The fiber optic infrastructure is charged $200 annually. Now it has reduced. It was $1,000 before. In Vietnam, the fee is $0. So in the rest of the world, it's almost to $0 as well. So this will improve the infrastructure adoption. Another thing we can look at is the mobile infrastructure competition and BTS sharing, as my colleagues have mentioned before as well. The BTS coverage in Vietnam is 1 BTS per 800 people, while in Tanzania, it's 1 BTS per 6,000 people, and the rest of the world is 1 BTS per 260 people. So there is still a significant way that we need to go. Another thing we can look at is the mobile coverage. The mobile coverage in Vietnam is 99.7% on average, while in Tanzania it's 50% on average, and the rest of the world is at 90% on average. So this is something that we still need to look into. Another thing my colleagues have mentioned a lot, we heard it at the State of Industry panel as well, affordability. Affordability is a key factor in meaningful connectivity. We cannot leave people behind and say this is meaningful connectivity. Now, what is causing the problem? If you look at this, the mobile broadband average price in Vietnam is $0.15 per gig, while Tanzania is $0.9 per gig. The world average is $0.33 per gig. Now, what is the problem? If you look at the TCRA statistical report of June 2023, you will notice that the data tariffs are 9.3 for all operators. That means there is no competition. So if there is competition, we would have cheaper data tariffs. Now, there is the floor rate policy that has been applied. Therefore, no one is competing and everyone is just charging the same rate. But if you look at the same report, Smile is charging 3.4 shillings. Why are they able to charge this? Because of different implications of the way the prices are set. But data tariffs are data tariffs. But when you look at it on the report, they're all placed in the same category. Smile is charging 3.4, while the other operators are charging 9.3, and it's a flat rate for everyone. So for this, we need flexible pricing policies and no floor rate. There is nowhere in the world that there is a floor rate applied to data bundles. So if we remove this, we will be able to achieve cheaper prices for data, and this will cut across the mobile bundles and the fixed lines as well. Another thing we can look at now is the quality of service. The regulators can set the higher quality of service level requirements, and the operators can compete in providing quality of service, providing quality services. In Vietnam, the quality of service for FTTH is 91.24 Mbps. In Tanzania, it's 12.3 Mbps, while the world average is 79 Mbps. The mobile is 43.32 Mbps. Tanzania is 13.5 Mbps, while the world average is 41.54 Mbps. The last thing that we can look at, the last thing that we can look at is the FTTH coverage per household. Vietnam is 75.5%, Tanzania is 0.56%, world average 63%. MB broadband per 100 population, 85.4%, Vietnam, Tanzania 18.29%, world average 83.2%. The smartphone per 100 population is 101% in Vietnam, 26% in Tanzania, 82.5% in the world average. Now, I am mentioning these statistics so that we can do a comparison and look at what are the best policies to adopt to see these things change in the future. We need affordable prices. We need to be able to provide these services to a number of areas where people will get the devices, but they won't be able to use internet services, and therefore lower penetration rate, lower adoption of the ICT infrastructure in home.
Great. Thanks, Nagib, for those amazing figures. Mohamed, just one last thing you want to add, one thing that will change in the next year.
When you come back probably in a year or two, we will tell you a story that we are still the best in East and Central Africa. And we are still ranked on Group A as we have been assessed. That is Group A on the countries which are really emerging on the GovTech areas. But then probably you will ask why you are still the best. And we will tell you we still have our Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan and Dr. Mwinyi are still leading us. And with that, the first thing we will tell you is when you land to the airport, we will uniquely identify you as a foreigner. That is what you are going to actually find out. And when you come actually into any other services, we will tell you we have enhanced our service delivery by achieving our target of 80% connectivity by 2025, just before time. And with that, we will tell you now in Tanzania, we have digital health, we have digital agriculture, we have digital education, we have digital justice system. This is what we are actually seeing in Tanzania. And probably we will also tell you, the country now has laid out a good enabling environment. And probably if you ask why, we will tell you we have a National ICT Act, which we never had one before. So that's what you will probably find out. We have actually updated our national ICT policy. We have a digital infrastructure roadmap. whereby all these issues of fiber connectivities and just having the infrastructure ready and remove all those disturbance when we are actually building the road network and all that. So probably you'll have a different country whereby a country of digitalization and digital transformation is being achieved into some extent. We'll also, lastly, we'll tell you now, public sector and private sector share data through Tanzania Enterprise Service Bus, whereby we have a national electronic data management standards and guideline, whereby people actually can freely share their data and actually broadcast the data whenever, as far as the data protection is concerned. So thank you. I think we'll have a lot more than that.
On that very optimistic note, we must bring this panel to an end. A period of applause to all our panelists, please, for a fantastic session with lots of metrics, lots of analysis, lots of hard work ahead, but very achievable targets. Once again, thank you all, gentlemen. Please join the audience while we